Take a little tour of the Mura. This is pretty much the last time we're going to see it around here. Door releases are electronic. You have a key there, and that actually, when you turn the key, it shuts off the electricity to the switch that opens the door. You can open the door from the outside, key on whether the key's locked or not locked by using the number 1 and number 2 buttons on the key fob. Or if you don't want to release it with a key fob, you just push the button like a normal car. I'm going to look around inside. Looking around inside, the dash is all white. We have a black felt cover that we made to set over the top of it. It's nothing fancy, but without the cover on it in direct sunlight, you get glare off the top of the dashboard near the windshield. The defroster vents are what's holding the black felt in there. The defroster vents can just pop out and take the felt off, and you got your white dashboard again. And instrumentation, we have water temperature, oil temp, oil pressure, a clock, voltmeter, fuel, and then the speedo and the tachometer. And then there's a light right in between the two of them there. That's turn signal indicator light. On the overhead console, looking up, have 6 switches, just like the original car. 4 of them are active, the other 2 are for later on if somebody adds accessories. And you can see we've done the headliner, made headliner panels for it. All this stuff in here is pretty much custom made. The A-pillar covers, the glove box, the whole dash is almost totally custom made. We had a couple of pieces that came from England to start building a dash with, but there was a lot of fabrication over and above that. The A-pillars, like I said, are custom made. The overhead console, which we'll look at in a few minutes, is custom made. The upper and lower B-pillar covers on the inside, kind of hard to see from here, but those are custom made. The seats are plastic buckets with upholstery on them, done by the upholstery shop down in San Antonio. The kick panel here on the left and right hand sides, down on the right, that's custom made. We made all the door panel, the door, the armrest, and all the work on the doors. We didn't upholster them here, but everything else was hand built. And then the door releases on the inside, just a regular, lever. Here you can see the overhead console. Again, that was custom made. The center glove box top there is from a Volkswagen. I can't remember what model, it doesn't matter. We custom made a center console around that piece. Headrests were actually bought on eBay. I don't know what they were from, but we reshaped them and remounted them, figured out a way of mounting them so that they would look as close to the original as possible. The white tube all the way across the back, just under the headrest, is custom fabricated, as is with everything else in this interior. The Furo chassis on this car is, of course, a Furo chassis, but it's been cut down heavily modified with a tube chassis set down over it that we custom made for it. The front wheel center line, the front cross member, have been moved out 5 inches further, so the wheelbase has been stretched 5 inches in the front. And this is the front compartment. Got that spare tire air refill thing, and there's a battery tray underneath there, the fiberglass cover. Your brake master cylinder and your hydraulic master cylinder is actually under this cover. This cover is an air box leading into the heating air conditioning system with a vent right through the side here. And there's two 7mm screws that hold it on. That can come off, and then underneath right in this area is the clutch master cylinder. It's got a 3-core aluminum radiator. Got coil-over suspension with tubular A-arms and the big brakes on it. The fiberglass body came from England. Parallel designs, I understand. And it was really lousy fiberglass, just lousy. The car had memory, if you will, when while the car was sitting around while we were in the process of building it and building the chassis and stuff, the body was moving around. The fiberglass quality was from the 60s, what used to be made in the 60s in the U.S. And like this, I call this a sideburn, this area here. And the sideburns in front and rear clip both moved in. You know, the memory in the fiberglass had this thing moved in about 6-8 inches. And the body didn't come with any instructions or any clue how to put it together. We had to kind of do it from pictures and planning and thinking. But the only way we could get the body to stay in place was to wedge it out to where it should be, and then we welded in tubular framework, steel framework. All these ribs that you see here, that's all steel. It's fiberglass right into the underside of the fiberglass body that holds the body in place. You can see over in here, see the raised areas? And then it goes down all the way around. You can see it way down on the other side of the scoops, down towards the nose there. And it goes all the way around the grill opening. And then we also fabricated these inner wheel well liners. These are made out of fiberglass, pretty thick. And we fiberglass those right directly into the front clip. And that stiffened the front clip up a lot, and it's got it to where it doesn't move around now. You know, it doesn't have memory. It may have memory, but the steel's keeping it from going back to losing its shape. When you say fiberglass has memory, in what you're really talking about is that if it heats and cools, and as it's exposed to different weather conditions and different storage conditions, it'll move around. It'll go any place it wants to go. Same thing in the rear clip. We did the same thing. There's a steel rib starting right down in here. There's a steel rib that goes all the way up here, and then we incorporate the latch mechanism into it, and it goes all the way around the back opening area, back window area, if you will, and then all the way down to the rear grill. Down in there, there's tubes above and below the grill opening there, and it's all hand fitted and bent to match the contour of what the body should be. You know, without that rib in there, these sideburns on the rear clip had moved in a foot. In a couple of months, they had moved in a foot. I'm going to be inserting some pictures. I have been inserting some pictures in this video that show you some of the pictures we took during the build of this car. Took over 4,000 pictures building this car. And then once again, we built some inner wheel well liners for the car out of fiberglass. None came with the kit or anything. It wasn't really a kit. It was just some parts. And those pieces were fiberglassed in to help strengthen that rear clip. And then these louvers in the back, there was no louvers with the kit. There was no clue as to what to do to make louvers. So we took 2 layers of fiberglass and then 2 pieces of cold rolled steel strip, and we formed these. We actually did a sandwich of bonding all those the fiberglass and the metal strips together, and then we made a framework on the inside. You probably can't see it, but I'll show you some pictures. There's a framework around the inside of this that the steel ribs are inside these louvers. They come around, they bend around the corner here, and then they're exposed and they're welded to that steel framework, and then that steel framework's holding it, and these louvers are not losing their shape at all. They worked really good. If you look pictures of real Miuras, you'll see that the louvers over the engine cover a lot of times are bent or sagging, and you can see these are pretty nice. Once again, the chassis is a tube chassis, or a Furo chassis, with a bunch of modifications to it. I was throwing a few pictures of that too. The engine's an LS3, brand new Chevy crate engine, and we're using a new Pontiac G6 6-speed transmission in it. We fabricated all of the inner wheel well stuff in the body too. I'll show you a picture of this, but these louvers here were all hand fabricated, hand spaced, and all figured out by hand. And this whole, when the doors came, they just came up around the edge, and then this surface on the inside was here, going up, and it wasn't accurate. And we fabricated all that stuff. Everything that's all these louvers and this outside framework, this top piece, all these louvers through here. And then we also put in, since this scoop in the door, we also put in a duct going back into the engine compartment. Not like it was really needed, but got ducted someplace, make it look right, like it's functional. Okay, on the engine we're using a CSR water pump. It's an electric remote water pump. It's mounted right in here. There's a gooseneck here with a thermostat in it. The water temperature sensor is on the underside of that gooseneck, sticking up into that. I call that thermostat housing block. Like I said, it's an LS3 Corvette engine. It's got electronic throttle body, a 4-inch cold air intake. Got 2.5-inch exhausts with dual spun cats and dual turbo mufflers. This LS3 engine, we're using the GM wiring harness system you can buy for it, and the fuse center is right here. Here's your 6-speed transmission and the linkage and stuff. We make a kit to make that work in a Furo. You can see your air conditioning lines down here connected. Your shift cables right up here, right going through right here. Got all Russell braided fuel lines on it. The headlights in this car are Fiat 850 Spider headlights, similar to the ones that were used in the real Miura. They pop up, if you will. We dressed them up a little bit, put a metal cover over this area here so it wasn't so ugly. The grill is, we made this on our mill, and it was kind of fun to make. And they're all, these are metal, 1/8-inch thick metal aluminum flat stock, and then set them up on the mill, and I cut the radius in them, and each one of them is a different length. I think there's like 27 on each side, and held together by a long threaded rod, and aluminum spacers in between each one. Taillights are not real Miura parts. They're Fiat parts, and they're not exactly matched, but The real lights cost a fortune, and these probably only cost about $30 each or so. If you ever want to know why, the only authentic Mura parts that are on here is the door locks, and they're actually, we have that door lock hooked up to an electronic switch that turns the power on and off for opening the doors. And then of course, like the original car, there's all the mechanical behind there. But the authentic Mura parts, just look for them on eBay to find out. They're really expensive. I know one of these hood grills was one on eBay, just one, not just one. It was like $700 for just one of them. You may have noticed that when we were looking inside the rear clip, you saw the trunk area, or the box for the trunk. We made that all out of steel sheet, and this is what it looks like from this end. It's actually a pretty nice little trunk, and we made a seal for it. Here on the underside of the deck lid, you can see more ribs that were glassed in because to keep the shape, to get the deck lid to stay in one shape. The hinges we used are from an XKE, that rear hatch on the XKE Jag, and we modified them, make them fit. And the prop rod is homegrown, if you will. You just lift the lid up, the prop rod will go down out of the way, and then you can close your deck lid. See how the louvers for the back window are nice and straight and even. I think that's a lot better than the thin sheet metal ones that don't look right even on a real car. They're really fragile on the real car. We're going to go for a tour of the Mura, showing a few of the things, a few of the built things. As we discuss stuff, I'm going to insert some still pictures from when the car was being built to illustrate whatever I'm talking about. This car is built on a Puro chassis. The front cross member and wheels have been pushed out 5 inches further forward, and it's got an LS3 brand new Chevy Crate LS3 in it with fuel injection, of course, electronic throttle body, a 6-speed transmission, and the cold air intake, several other things. Nice running engine. Thing will run 0 to 120 just faster than stink. I haven't had it over 120, but I'm sure it'll go there.